Welcome back to Autism at Home. In the last video, we learned about all the useful equipment to have at home for creating your own learning materials, like having a printer or laminator. In this lesson, we'll talk about how to make some of these materials, starting with visuals in general. Now, this will not be a tutorial on the technical skills of how to use a word processing software or operate a laminating machine. Instead, we'll teach you some essential tips for what makes an effective visual. Then, we'll look at the different types of visuals and what situations they're suited for. Finally, we'll look at some case studies so that you can have a go at identifying what type of visual the children in those scenarios need. So let's get started. Let's start simple and assume you're making a simple picture for requesting, like a picture for cookies. So open up your preferred word processing software and your favorite internet search engine. If you were to search up pictures of cookie on the internet, you'll likely get millions of hits back. But not all visuals are created equal. Some universal rules that apply for almost any child is to ensure you select pictures that are clear, bright, and well saturated when they're printed out. For example, between these two pictures of trains, which one would the child respond better to? The left one, right? Where attention might be an issue, go for pictures that are as distraction-free as possible. Pictures with too many things going on in them might confuse the child as to what you're really asking them to learn and make it hard to focus on the target object. For example, if I want to teach a child the word cookie, I should try and pick a picture of just a cookie on a white background rather than a picture of cookies or a plate with a glass of milk, because the child might think that whole scene of cookies on a plate with milk is referred to as cookie. For some kids, the mode of presentation the picture comes in matters too. For example, some children can look at any picture of a cookie, whether it's a real-life photo, cartoon, or a painting, and understand immediately that's a cookie. Some children are very literal. So if we use, say, only a picture of a cartoon cookie with them, that does not mean that when they go to a bakery, they will know immediately that what they see there is also a cookie. They will need to be shown different modes of pictures and real-life objects to reach that level of generalization. And let's not forget that many objects like cookies come in all shapes and sizes. So all this can feel pretty overwhelming considering you just want a picture of a cookie. If you're not sure whether your child does need many different types of pictures, start with the picture they will most likely see in daily life. For example, if your child is used to eating a particular brand of cookies, use a picture of that first, as that is most familiar. Then over time, you can test out other modes of pictures and see if they can still recognize those are the same things. Fourth, choose the right size for your visuals. There's no fixed rule. If you plan to make several visuals or need them to be portable, visuals between 4 to 5 centimeters in width and height should work. However, some children with visual or fine motor difficulties benefit from larger pictures as they are easier to see and grab. So, individualize to your child. Finally, it's always beneficial to include a short, simple label with the pictures. In this case, just cookie. Labels are very helpful in the long run for children who could learn to read and also ensures consistency between adults in the house so they use the same word for that object. So let's recap. 5 tips for effective visuals: clear and bright, distraction-free, the right mode, the right size, and the right label. Once you've got the visuals you're happy with, you can print them out, laminate them, and use them wherever they are needed around your household. So, now that you know what to look for when picking pictures, let's talk different kinds of visuals and when you would use them. There's what we just talked about for the cookie example, requesting pictures. Pictures for requesting, more formally known as the Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, are incredibly versatile. PECS work great for children with limited or no speech who need a way to communicate. PECS can be used for requesting for items in food, but also to ask for help or say no to something. There are also visual schedules that describe what is going to happen, whether it's for the day or during class time, or even weekly and monthly. Visual schedules can be vertical, going from top to bottom like this, or left to right. Visual schedules also come in calendar form like a weekly or monthly one, telling the child if there are important events coming up. They can also be used for learning independence routines. When you're making a visual schedule, such as teaching your child how to use the toilet, there are plenty of free printable schedules online. Or you can customize your own child's needs. Next, visuals can also be used to communicate rules and reminders on what we should or should not do. For example, a simple one like a red X on a piece of furniture to remind the child not to climb, or a picture of resting hands to communicate nice hands or hands to yourself, or quite simply visuals on toy boxes to indicate where the toys go, which can greatly encourage independence and cleaning up. Feel free to download the free toy box visuals in our corresponding article that you can use to label your toy boxes at home. Some more complex visual rule cards can have more than one rule in a card and even be linked to a token system. So the child gets tokens for every time they show one of the expected behaviors. Remember, break the skill down. Ensure the child has learned each skill one by one before putting them all together. Great! So now that you know about the different types of visuals out there, let's look at some case scenarios together. Think about what kind of visuals the children in these scenarios need. Gabriel is a 6-year-old boy living with his mother and father at home. For years, Gabriel's parents have sent him to speech therapists in an effort to get him to speak. But after years of hard work, Gabriel can only speak 2 or 3 words. When Gabriel wants something, he usually lies on the floor, whines, and cries. What type of visual would Gabriel benefit from? A. PECS, or Picture Exchange Communication System. B. Visual schedule. C. Visual calendar. Or D. Visual rule card. If you picked A. PECS, you're right. Gabriel is already 6 years old and still does not seem to have an effective way to communicate. PECS could teach him an alternative way to communicate over crying for what he wants. Tianmei is a 6-year-old girl who is able to speak in long phrases and currently attends school with a shadow aid support. Although Tianmei is able to sit at the table in class, she is often distracted by what her classmates are doing and doesn't always pay attention to what the teacher is saying. What visual would Tianmei benefit from? In this case, D, visual rule card, is most appropriate with rules such as look at teacher and can be linked with a token board where earning a certain number of tokens earns her a reward. Amar is a 3-year-old boy who struggles with separating from mom and dad. Both mom and dad travel frequently for work, but leaving the home is always extremely difficult due to the 3-hour-long meltdowns Amar has. What kind of visuals would Amar benefit from? Judging by how often mom and dad have to travel for work, it can be hard for Amar, not knowing when mom and dad will go and when they'll come back. He will benefit greatly from a visual calendar, like a weekly or monthly one, telling him when mom or dad are heading off and when they'll be back. On top of that, Amar may need to have the skill broken down more by learning to tolerate mom and dad just leaving the room or house for a regular workday, before learning to tolerate them being gone for entire trips. So there you have it, 3 case scenarios. Hopefully this has really got your brain working, because it's your turn. Identify a skill you would really like your child to learn, be it learning to request, have good personal space, or being able to cope with changes. Next, identify from this list what visual would help break it down for them. Then, have a go making them yourselves. Once you have, there begins the process of using the visual to teach them the skill, remembering to practice as often as you can and reinforce when they do show the good behavior you want. So that's it on creating visuals. We hope this has been helpful to you in showing precisely what goes into making a visual. It's definitely more than just pulling a picture off the internet. Stay tuned for the next lesson, where we'll talk about how to make a classic visual for autism. Social stories. Little storybooks that inform children what is about to happen and what needs to be done. See you in the next lesson.